Investing is a long-term process. How many times can you think of in the last decade that the stock market has destroyed retirement funds for people just like you and me? For your existing IRA, you need the security that gold has provided for centuries. Remember, gold has never been worth zero. Capital Gold would like to introduce you to the Home Storage Gold IRA. It's a self-directed IRA set up with all the protection and tax benefits of an LLC. But the big difference in this IRA is you invest in gold and you hold it in your possession. You can't do that with stocks. That's security. You can transfer any type of IRA hassle-free in days. Please call right now and learn more, and we'll waive the $500 setup fee and give you a free safe to store your gold. Call 800-223-0092. 800-223-0092. 800-223-0092. That's 800-223-0092.
What kingdom has sent you?
The kingdom of the Most High.
Any investment discussed on Wall Street Raw is presented for educational purposes only. We strongly recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice.
Nothing you have ever experienced can prepare you for the unbridled carnage you're about to witness. The Super Bowl, the World Series, they don't know what pressure is. In this building, it's either kill or be killed. You make no friends in the pits and you take no prisoners. 1 minute, you're up $500,000 in soybeans, and the next, boom, your kids don't go to college and they've repossessed your venue.
Biz Talk Radio is proud to present Wall Street Raw with TV's Wall Street Week elf and nationally recognized market timer Mark Leibovit, who welcomes you on board his financial time machine. And here is the elf himself, Mark Leibovit.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Wall Street Raw. I'm your host, Mark Leibovit, on this Saturday, July 29th. Obviously, you have a lot of the choices on a Saturday, and I appreciate you tuning in to my financial, political, even spiritual and musical time machine, where we look at the financial markets and sometimes political comments as well from some of our guests. Our show is archived here at Biz Talk Radio. It's also archived on iTunes, and that's in case you miss any of the previous shows or you like to catch the show again. Many of you may remember me as being one of the 10 elves on the old Rukeyser Wall Street Week television program, and also as a market monitor guest with Paul KANGAS on the PBS's nightly business report. I want to thank Swiss America for helping sponsor the program, and please mention Wall Street Raw Radio when you do call them for their free books, and there are 3 of them, and you'll hear about them during the show. Don't Bank on It, The Secret War on Cash, Money, Morality, and the Time Machine. And to get those free books, go to 800-289-2646. It's 800-289-2646. As always, do a lineup of interesting guests from across the financial spectrum are waiting to join us. We have quite a few today, as we try to do every week. SINCLAIR Don Volo, Henry Weingarten is going to be with us. Special guest Lowell Ponte, a futurist who works with Craig Smith at Swiss America, is going to be joining us. But let's join our first 2 guests from RagingBull.com, Jason Bond and Kyle Dennis. Welcoming a special guest to Wall Street Raw this Saturday morning, Jason Bond from RagingBull.com. Jason is a former educator and coach. He co-founded Raging Bull in 2017 and teaches stock trading at jasonbondpicks.com, where he streams his real money portfolio during market hours. Jason, there's a lot to talk about in a short period of time. Tell me a little bit about how you trade the market. I know you're fond of swing trades.
Yeah, Mark, thanks for having me. First of all, swing trading is my favorite thing to do. I'm small cap based. I feel like that's where I have an advantage over the large cap stocks. And I'm staying away from day trading. I'm mostly swing trading, so 1 to 4 day whole times there, latching onto momentum. And then when I find what I consider a diamond in the rough or just an overlooked small cap, I'll go along that one if I think I can capture a much larger return. So in those situations, I'm looking for 50% or even upwards of 100% returns. But those can be months to a year full time.
So you're looking also for oversold stocks that are beaten down on bad news, right?
Yeah, that's probably my favorite strategy. I'm one to come in and buy an oversold relative strength index. And so we're talking about, if we could visually look at a chart, a company that's had horrible news or horrible earnings, the stock has sold. Usually what I want to see is something that's fallen over 50% inside of a month. And then the momentum is starting to slowly shift towards the buyers. I'll come in, gobble up that bottom. I find that's probably one of the most accurate chart patterns to use on Wall Street because there's no profit takers left. And provided the company's not going out of business, usually they turn a corner and get some sort of short squeeze or have good news and the stock bounces. And that pattern works for me over and over in bull or downtrending markets.
Let's talk about what you like now. What stocks are you following?
All right, so on a long-term basis, because swing trade's probably hard to discuss here, but on a long-term basis, I'm in two particular stocks that I really like. One is Castle Brands on the Amex. It's ticker symbol ROX. This is a very interesting story. I've been in it since it was at $1 when they had really good news with Walmart stores. Essentially, long story short, they put their ginger beer on the shelves of 4,500 Walmart stores. The stock went bonkers. I picked it up at $1 at the time, and I've been riding it ever since. It's probably around $2 here. I'm holding on, and I don't usually do this often, but I'm holding on right now because I believe they're going to have another good round of earnings in September. They beat on their last call. So I believe they're going to have another good round. But a little carrot on the side here is they've employed some advisors to look at a takeover sale. We haven't heard anything on that, but it was put out on Bloomberg about 2 months ago, I believe. And, we're talking about Constellation Brands and other companies along that line looking at ROX. So if that develops, there could be a little bit of a premium there, too.
Jason, I want to thank you so much for joining us. We are going to have to pick up on another interview to go over your other favorite stocks. We're talking to Jason Bond from RagingBull.com. That's where you go for more information on Jason's service. And thanks for joining us this morning, Jason.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Welcoming back our friend Kyle Dennis, who's the Chief Biotech Strategist for RagingBull.com. A little bit about Kyle. He's an independent equities trader focused on uncovering undervalued stocks in the market, and he researches stocks which are under the radar and looks for supporting data about those stocks, which could foretell catalytic events. Kyle, thanks for joining us again this Saturday morning.
Thanks, Mark. Glad to be back.
So tell us a little bit about what's going on in the biotech sector. You feel that there might be a little bit of pressure there coming off, or is it still there?
Yeah, I mean, long term, I think that we're still in a nice bullish uptrend. But I think lately the gridlock there in the biotech space and the government as a whole has been a net positive. But it's kind of got a little bit frothy from July. We've pretty much run up the entire month. The last couple of days we've seen a little bit of a pullback, and I think that's good because I like catalyst events, as you know, and upcoming there are a bunch in September that look pretty good to me, and I think that a nice pullback over the next 2 weeks might be a positive for the sector.
I failed to mention that Kyle's a graduate from UCLA and has a degree in biology, so looking at biotech stocks is not totally left field for you, is it?
Definitely not, and I've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years now, so I know the sector quite well.
So let's talk about some ideas. What are you focusing in on?
Well, as you know, like I mentioned last time, I do like that VSAR, which has some data coming in September. I also like a company called, the ticker is NEOS, Neos Therapeutics. It is, they have an ADHD drug, which is coming on September the 15th, an FDA approval date. So I'm expecting that one to run up quite a bit, maybe get to $7.50 a share or so. Right now it's trading at $6.55, so I see some nice upside on that name.
And I believe you mentioned Gilead on a previous interview. That's done really well. That's coming off a big bottom.
Yeah, that one ran up with the sector as well, but I thought it was pretty undervalued at the time with the amount of cash they have on their balance sheet, and they've had some good news, some good earnings, so things look pretty good there. like I said, I expect a little bit of a pullback in some names just because we've gone straight up for about a month and a half or 2 months. So I expect that one to maybe pull back, but I still do like it long term.
Kyle, what's the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you?
The best way is to go to my website called biotechbreakouts.com, or you can email me directly at kyle@biotechbreakouts.com.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Kyle Dennis from biotechbreakouts.com. He's also with ragingbull.com, and it's a pleasure having him back on the show, and we're happy to hear those great biotech ideas. Talk to you real soon, Kyle. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks again.
Yeah, it was a real pleasure having both these gentlemen from ragingbull.com join us on this Saturday, so hopefully we'll hear back from them in the near term and update you on many of their interesting trading ideas. As I mentioned, we have a jam-packed show for you. Our new guest, Lowell Ponte, will be joining us here on segment 2. Sinclair No is out in the wings, and we're going to be talking a little bit about how banks behave badly. We got a couple good stories there to go over, and we don't want to forget about Henry Weingarten. He made some terrific calls on the market. He'll be joining us later in the show, and our good friend Don VIALOUX, giving us that Canadian perspective, will also be joining us later in the program. So don't touch your dial. We'll be back after the break here on Wall Street Raw.
You're listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovit. Go to wallstreetrawradio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
You know, here we are talking about the CIA, the NSA, and top intelligence agencies. All of our sensitive secrets can be hacked. We now know that safety and privacy of our finances are over. I mean, how safe and private do you think your finances are sitting in the cyber world? Who hacked them? How about your stock accounts, your saving accounts, even your 401ks? Frankly, that's why I turned to Swiss America for answers about protecting the savage household finances and privacy. One book explained it all. Don't bank on it. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646. It's a free book on exactly the topic we're talking about. And you'll learn how to protect your money against what even the CIA cannot protect. Please do it now. It's free. It's a book. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646 for a free copy of the book. Don't bank on it. 800-289-2646.
Are you married? Do you and your husband both have term life insurance? If you both don't, you should. You have a lot to protect. Call now, get a free quote for your husband, and while you're at it, get a quote for yourself too. Because you both need term life insurance. Call now. 800-915-9658, 800-915-9658, 800-915-9658. Rates are at all-time lows. We'll shop over 30 top-rated companies to get you the best possible rates. Term life insurance, it's the perfect way to protect the quality of your family's lifestyle. You and your husband both need term life insurance, so call now for a free quote for the both of you. 800-915-9658, 800-915-9658, 800-915-9658.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-595-6619. That's 800-595-6619. Again, 800-595-6619.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-351-1453. That's 1-800-351-1453. Again, 1-800-351-1453.
Biz Talk Radio.
Think positive. Never show any sign of weakness. Always go for the throat. Buy low, sell high. Fear, that's the other guy's problem.
Welcome back to the Wall Street Raw Radio Show with Mark Leibovit, your time machine for the financial markets. Want to know more? Go to wallstreetrawradio.com. Now, here's the elf himself, Mark Leibovit.
Welcoming a very special guest to Wall Street Raw this Saturday morning, Lowell Ponte, who has a very diverse background, being a reporter in Washington, D.C., a legislative aide in the California Assembly, one of two co-owners of a successful Hollywood public relations firm. He worked for 15 years as a roving editor for Reader's Digest magazine. He had a radio show, which was in Los Angeles for 17 years on more than 300 radio stations and television, and we can go on and on. It's such an honor having you on the show, and he's also the author of two very important books, and co-authoring along with Craig Smith at Swiss America. One is Money, Morality, and the Machine, and the other is Don't Bank on It. Good morning, Lowell. Thank you for joining us.
Mark, what a pleasure. Those are two of our more recent books, but we've done altogether 7.
I know. I didn't want to read them all off here. We'd be spending a good part of the interview. But tell us a little bit about Money, Morality, and the Machine, and what motivated you to do that, and a little bit about your thinking there.
Well, our first thought is that Grisham, who was a financial advisor to Queen Elizabeth I back in Henry VIII days, made the famous articulation that bad money drives out good. That is, if people are given 2 coins, one debased and one still with real silver in it, they're going to choose the one that is debased to keep on trading in, and they're going to pocket the one that has silver. That kind of economic situation deteriorates the value of the money rather rapidly. We have a corollary to that, or Craig Smith does, and that is the idea that if you debase the value of the money, you wind up debasing the morals of the society. You wind up debasing the values not just of money, but of the people at large. And that's what we've done to a shocking degree in our culture. It's, of course, caused many other changes, too, one of which is the move to financialization. That is, we used to actually be a society that produced real things and real services. Increasingly, the path to riches, as you know, is to be an expert at speculation, at leverage, at interest, at making people pay money for things they otherwise could have simply earned outright. So, for example, in my latest column, we're dealing with the theme that good news for Americans is that you now have more credit than ever before. The average American now has a FICO score of 700, and so you're wonderfully creditworthy, and and yet you're still earning money in adjusted or unadjusted dollars at a rate, roughly what your father or grandfather were earning 25 or 30 years ago, that money itself has been so debilitated in the society that we're sitting running on a treadmill and we're not getting a real increase in salary for it. We also have a world where half of American families now live paycheck to paycheck. According to a study by the Fed, 47% of us do not have enough money set aside to pay for a $400 unexpected repair or hospital emergency room visit. 27% of us have no savings at all, and yet our creditworthiness is increasing, not decreasing. What this means is the society is moving toward cashlessness. We're moving toward the idea that, you know, when I was young and you wanted to go to college, you'd get a scholarship, and money would just be given to you to go to college. Now what do you have to do? You have to borrow it. We have $1.4 trillion of borrowed student loan money out there. We have $1.1 trillion of people borrowing money to buy a car. And part of this comes from the pressure applied by the government itself, by things like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, where, as with housing, people are given credit who don't necessarily deserve it. Part of the housing crisis was caused by the Community Reinvestment Act, through which the federal government and our politicians were telling banks that they would become horribly, horribly regulated and punished unless they made millions of mortgage loans to people who were really unworthy. And by unworthy, I mean the banks came to call these people ninjas, meaning they had no income, no job, no assets, no savings, and yet they were expected to get a home mortgage. And this all became part of a increased demand on housing prices that sent housing prices through the roof, but it was largely artificial. It was by lending people money that they had relatively little hope of repaying. And so, the moment housing prices started to skid, people who had not bothered to put a down payment on the home, or a minimal down payment, simply walked away from it. The ninjas felt no commitment to the economic system as it had been in the ideal of the American dream. And so the wheels came off, and we saw housing prices devastated. We saw the average American family lose, 38% to 40% of its net worth almost overnight. We saw the government frantically trying, to the tune of, 24 to $27 trillion through the Fed and others, to prop up the U.S. and world banking systems to stave off that devastation.
Lowell, we just ran out of time, and I want to have you back real soon on the show. There's so much that we need to talk about here, and obviously we covered this point. Lowell is the author of two very important books, Money, Morality, and the Time Machine, and Don't Bank on It, both co-authored with Craig Smith. How do we get copies of those, Lowell?
Oh, well, you can get a copy of Money, Morality, and the Machine either by paying $20 to Amazon or by paying absolutely nothing to a toll-free number. And we'll pay for the book. We'll pay for the shipping and everything. The toll-free number is 800-630-1492, like the year Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's 800-630-1492.
Thank you, Lowell. Lowell Ponte, author of Money, Morality, and the Machine. Don't bank on it. We'll have you back real soon on the program, Lowell. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure having you.
Pleasure to be with you, Mark.
Thank you, Lowell, for joining us, and sorry I had to cut you off there a little bit, but we only have a few seconds until the break. Yes, if you want more information, we have a couple numbers because we also have Craig Smith on the show. We have the 800-630-1492 that Lowell gave out, and we have the other number, 800-289-2646 for Swiss America. So we use the 800-630-1492. That's what Lowell had put out, so we might as well stick with that one in the meantime. A lot coming up for you on the show. As I mentioned, we have Sinclair No joining us in the next segment, Henry Weingarten, back-to-back with him. And my good friend Don Viola will be joining us on segment 4. Very interesting weeks in the market. As we approach the end of the month window dressing drove the Dow to new highs, as you know, on Friday. But we're getting a little divergence here with the Dow Transports pulling off for the last week and a half. The Russell 2000, NASDAQ underperforming. In fact, the Dow was up 183 points the last couple trading days, mostly due to Boeing. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the break with our good friend Sinclair.
Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at wallstreetraw.com. Here, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market tsunami. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to wallstreetraw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required, and no one will call. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw report and Gold News Raw report at wallstreetraw.com.
Now, the club for Biz Talk Radio listeners and your biz. The Biz TV Club is where you can watch some of your favorite Biz Talk Radio hosts and others on the go, on demand, on Android, desktop, Roku, and more. Never miss an episode of your favorite Biz TV shows and have the 24/7 Biz Talk Radio stream at your fingertips. Watch anytime, anywhere for just $5.95 a month with a free trial by using promo code RADIO. Go to bizradioclub.com.
A message from DAV to returning veterans. Thank you for doing your duty and doing our bidding. Thank you for stepping up and not backing down. Thank you for putting yourself in harm's way and putting your buddies' lives ahead of your own. Thank you for defending our freedom and displaying your honor. DAV thanks all veterans by fighting to get them the benefits and support they were promised. Visit DAV.org for free help. And again, thank you.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-521-9579 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-521-9579 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-521-9579. That's 1-800-521-9579. Again, 1-800-521-9579.
How old are you? 25, 35, 50, or older? If you have pain, we can help. Do your knees hurt?
Ow!
Let me ask you again. Are your knees killing you?
Oh, yeah. Are they ever?
What about your back? When you bend over, does it feel like this? How about when you get out of bed in the morning? If you're like me, your knees and back feel like this.
Oh, that hurts.
I found a company called the Pain Relief Hotline. They specialize in ways to treat your knee, back, and neck pain without surgery or taking medications. The good news is if you have insurance, you may have little or no cost or out-of-pocket expense. I've used them. It works. Call the Pain Relief Hotline now for free information. 800-303-4607. 800-303-4607. Call now. 800-303-4607. That's 800-303-4607.
Are you ready to leave your corporate job behind and be your own boss? Have you ever dreamed of owning a business? Do you have $50,000 or more sitting around in a 401k? If you answered yes, it's time to invest in yourself by buying or starting a business or franchise. IRS code allows you to use money in a 401k to invest in a business with absolutely no penalties or taxes. At Guidant Financial, we've helped more than 11,000 entrepreneurs invest $3 billion in retirement assets into the small businesses and franchises of their dreams. So if you've got $50,000 or more in a 401k and you're looking for a way to start a business, call Guidant Financial now for free information and to learn more. Operators are standing by for your call. 800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630.
Biz Talk Radio.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw. Want to know more about Wall Street Raw and the Leibovit VR newsletters? Go to wallstreetrawradio.com.
Welcoming back our regular and very special guest, Sinclair No from KFNN 1510 Phoenix, and author of the incomparable blog, EatTheBankers.com. Thank you again for joining us on this Saturday morning.
Well, it's always a pleasure. Thank you, Mark.
Well, banks are behaving badly again, Sinclair, and that's why I love doing this particular interview with you and covering some of the fun stuff that goes on out there. Just last week, we found out that charges were dropped after the whale accused J.P. Morgan or J.P. Morgan's Diamond of making him a fall guy. So suddenly we may find out that maybe Diamond's closer to this event than originally revealed.
No, we're not going to find that out. It may eventually come out, but it won't come out through the courts. We're talking, of course, about the infamous London whale case, and it looks like it is falling apart. The whale himself, Bruno Ixel, was considered a key witness, accused J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon of setting him up as a fall guy. A judge has dismissed charges against two former J.P. Morgan derivatives traders. Bruno Ixel's testimony, they say, could no longer be relied upon to prosecute based on a review of recent statements and writings made by Ixel, the London whale. They don't think they can trust him anymore, because he calls Jamie Dimon a fall guy. So how can he be trusted? Come on. I don't know where this is going. I don't think it's going to go very far. It's another one of these stories that suddenly kind of loses steam, loses momentum, and never quite makes it up to the CEO level. Surprise, surprise.
Right. Well, let's jump over to our good friends over at Wells Fargo. Department of Labor ordered Wells Fargo to pay a fine this past week. Let's talk about that one. $575,000, small for a bank.
Oh, that's pocket change. They find that in the seat cushions. But this is money to pay to a whistleblower for past pay that was not paid, and she gets her job back. Well, I'm sure she's going to get a lot of promotions after this, yeah. This is one of the whistleblowers, worked in a branch in Pomona, California, fired after reporting misconduct. This was all related to the bank's fake accounts, how they just created about 2 million fake accounts out of thin air to make it look like sales were up. She brought this to their attention, brought it to management's attention back in 2011. Raised concerns about it, did all the right things to blow the whistle.
and she was fired. There were others that were fired as well, by the way. But now they say she's going to get her job back. They say that, but it's not like it's going to happen tomorrow. Wells Fargo may end up clearing her personnel file, but the bank is also going to appeal the decision. So after waiting 6 years to get a job in banking again and get paid, wait a little bit longer.
That was encouraging that happened anyway. Someone has to be held accountable for this and bringing it to the attention of the public. Maybe they'll rehire all those people. Meanwhile, this was an interesting...
But don't hold your breath.
Right, okay. I guess we shouldn't. Well, let's see. We have some interesting stuff this past week. The Federal Reserve Open Market Committee wrapped up its two-day monetary policy. So let's talk about that a little bit. It looks like they're going to begin trimming their balance sheet after all, huh?
That's right. As expected, they left the Fed funds target rate unchanged. No surprise there. They didn't give any specifics about trimming the balance sheet, but said it would be reasonably soon. So here's what we take away from it. The September FOMC meeting, the Fed will announce some details about trimming the balance sheet. Probably start actually selling off part of the balance sheet beginning in October. Then we can look for another interest rate hike probably at the December FOMC meeting. Now, selling off their $4.5 trillion balance sheet of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities is not going to happen over time. It will be a gradual process. They'll start small. They'll add to it each and every month, each and every quarter, get it up to a certain amount. They're not going to sell off everything either. They're not going to sell off $4.5 trillion worth, maybe $1 trillion, maybe a little bit more. When this really hits markets, I think, is probably 2018, late 2018. That's when everybody's going to look around and realize, oh, my goodness, the Fed has been selling a lot, and it's actually starting to impact the debt markets.
Yeah, it's going to be a real pressure for the markets, worrying about how they've been supported all these years and things change so quick. Maybe they're denying it right now. That's really it.
There's a lot of money that the Fed threw into the marketplace. A lot of money. And you can look at a chart of the S&P 500 and how the Fed has increased its balance sheet, and it's almost a mirror image. What happens when the Fed starts selling instead of continuing to buy and add to the balance sheet? I think it'll continue to be a mirror image of the charts.
Sinclair, thank you for joining us once again. Sinclair No from KFN and 1510 Phoenix, and author of the incomparable blog, EatTheBankers.com, and we'll have you back real soon next week. Thank you, Sinclair.
Thank you.
Welcome back our good friend and always special guest, Henry Weingarten from the Astrologers Fund. Henry's a 50-year veteran of the markets, and if you've been listening to the show for the last couple of years, he's made some spectacular calls, both on individual stocks and the markets. And without going over all of them, the most recent big one was the short call on Tesla, which had a nice break right after Henry had talked about shorting the stock. Thanks for getting back with us on the Saturday morning, Henry. Appreciate it.
Thank you. As you know, within a few days of a yellow market alert, before August 4th, we recommend doing something, whether it's raising cash, writing calls, shorting the market, buying puts, that sort of thing. Now, that's going to be lasting through September, but on the other hand, we don't see the markets going straight down. On Friday, the market hit our target, which was 21,800 roughly on the Dow, which was our short. In fact, it went down 100 points twice for it as a day trade. But effectively, that's a very critical point. Doesn't mean the market won't go higher, especially later in the year. But if you're the type of person that likes to sleep at night, you definitely want to lock in some profits now because there's risk. Now, again, the risk is not that great. We think the NASDAQ will probably just go to 5,800 or 6,000 as an example. But stocks are going to get hit the way Amazon was hit. Now, Amazon's holding the $1,000 level, but quite frankly, with 196 PE, this is like the old days. It's like 2001. So you're going to see some of the NASDAQ stocks hit very strongly as we get to August. On the other hand, we're still very bullish on Trump, even though things weren't moving as fast as we would like. So we think that the market's good. So basically, it's time to rotate. It's time to protect. Gold is doing nicely. We're happy. We're trying to decide when it hits around 13.20 whether we take some profits or just lock it in, because it's still worth about 13.80. But you got to take your profits or they go away.
Henry, you covered it all. That's a fantastic summary. We really appreciate having you on. I know you're taking a couple of weeks off, but following the markets, and we'll have you back next week as we get closer to that August time frame. We'll start biting our nails here a little bit, I guess. But thank you again.
We're making some money. We're making some money about it.
Yeah, let's buy some inverse ETFs. Okay. Have a great week. Henry Weingarten from the Astrologers Fund. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, Henry, and thank you, Sinclair, for joining us. And we're going to have our good friend Don Velo joining us just a few moments after the break from the Canadian Analyst Technical Society and EquityClock.com. As I mentioned just before the previous break, we saw the Dow up 183 points in the past 2 trading days, but that was mostly a result of strength in Boeing, ticker symbol BA. So while the Dow was up 183 for that 2-day period, the S&P was actually down 2 points. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the break with our good friend Don.
You are listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovit. Go to wallstreetrawradio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at wallstreetraw.com. Here, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market tsunami. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to wallstreetraw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required, and no one will call. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw report and Gold News Raw report at wallstreetraw.com.
Hi, I'm Joan London. If you're worried about your parent or loved one living alone, like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service.
Finding an apartment that was on the courtyard with the view of the trees, the view of the ducks, the stream, the creek, all of that, that was what I needed.
You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information. Here's the number.
To speak to a local senior living advisor, call A Place for Mom at 800-506-0320. That's 800-506-0320.
A Place for Mom is a free service, and you can trust them to help you. So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
To speak to a local senior living advisor, call A Place for Mom at 800-506-0320. That's 800-506-0320.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-595-6619. That's 800-595-6619. Again, 800-595-6619.
Hey there. Did you know that with a bachelor's degree, on average, you could make almost twice as much over a lifetime than a person with just a high school diploma? It's true. According to the 2012 U.S. Census Bureau, college grads with a bachelor's degree make almost twice as much as high school grads. Now, going back to school is easier than ever at Independence University. Log on and complete coursework from the park or the beach or even your couch watching the kids. And Independence University gives you the tools, a free tablet and laptop for undergrad students to use and keep when they graduate. That's right. Get a laptop so you can go to college from anywhere. Take the first step to a new career in business, information technology, healthcare, or graphic arts. Call to find the online degree program that's right for you, and you could be on your way to increasing your earning potential.
888-904-1986. 888-904-1986. That's 888-904-1986.
Hey, travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1769. 855-325-1769. That's 855-325-1769.
Biz Talk Radio.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
There is no freedom without the law.
Get it? Got it? Good.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw and the final segment with Mark Leibovit. Now, here's the elf himself.
Welcome back, my good friend and always special guest, Don Villalobos from EquityClock.com and TimingTheMarket.ca. Don is the past president of the Canadian Society of Technical Analysts, and most notably, he was the advisor to the Horizons Seasonal Rotation ETF as a manager from 2009 to 2015. Don, thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning.
Thanks for having me back, Mark.
Well, an interesting week. First, let's talk about the Canadian dollar. Big pop on good news on Friday.
Yeah, the May GDP figure came out on Friday and much stronger than expected. Canada's economy is growing at a 4.6% annual rate. That's fastest among the G7 nations. That quickly popped the Canadian dollar to around the 80.5 cent level. Canadian dollar has soared over the last 2 months. It's up almost 10%. It could be flaming out, but for now, that's good news, and the Canadian dollar has been going higher.
Gold and gold stocks had a good week.
Yeah, gold and gold stocks, fantastic week. They're following their seasonal trend, showing strength from the third week in July to the first week in October. A move by gold to resistance to around the $1,300 per ounce level is quite possible during this current period of seasonal strength.
Second quarter earnings reports also are important here as well, right?
Yeah, a word of caution here. Second quarter reports for the S&P 500 companies have been phenomenal, much better than expected. I guess over 80% of reporting companies to date have reported better than expected consensus or numbers. However, unless the earnings reports were blowout, many of the stocks actually sold off on the news. So we're getting a lot of sell-on news when second quarter reports on S&P 500 companies have been coming out. So just a word of caution here.
Yeah, plus your work is saying that we're in a seasonally negative period for the markets as well, correct?
That's correct. Well, as I mentioned earlier, the S&P 500 stocks, of the stocks that broke out or broke down last week, there were more S&P 500 stocks that actually broke support
and resistance. So just a bit of caution here.
Don, thank you for joining us. Our good friend Don VIALOUX from EquityClock.com and TimingTheMarket.ca. And we'll talk to you next week, Don. Thanks for joining us, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Don. You're short and sweet there, covering the highlights from Don's analysis. Yes, and as I mentioned before, with the Dow up 183 points and only with the S&P actually down 2 points the last 2 days, I didn't mention the NASDAQ was actually down 30 points the last 2 trading days. So, maybe this last surge of buying into the end of the month, window dressing, maybe that's what this is all about. We'll see as August 1st rolls in, whether the bears gain any momentum. But I remain a bull overall, but the question is, are we going to have a 3% correction, 5%, 1%? There's going to be some correction coming here in the next couple of months, so we'll see how it all plays out. But markets are rigged. We know that internationally. We know that in every market, whether it's gold, currencies, the stock market with the plunge protection team, which has been around since Ronald Reagan authorized that with his executive order back in 1988. So the goal out there is to keep the market stable. It's not politically correct, I suppose, and we just see a lot of low volatility in the market. Stock market really hasn't been this quiet in terms of volatility for many years. There was an analysis done that I read here this past week that the volatility of U.S. equity market hasn't been this level, so to speak, in terms of volatility and shakeouts for decades. So, the stability is there for a reason. But at the same time, we're seeing, the VIX index, the volatility index, plunge this past week, got down to 884. Generally when you're around 10 or 11, that's a sign of an overbought market. So a lot of optimism, maybe too much optimism here a little bit, and a lot of good news out, particularly when we see stocks like Amazon exploding to the upside. So, this is a time where you've got to be a little bit careful, but I think if you can tolerate, as Henry said, a little bit of a pullback, next couple of months, I think the trend is still going to be higher. We saw crude oil prices tack on about $4 this past week, surprising a lot of the bears out there. I've been a little bit more bullish on crude oil here, particularly into the fourth quarter, so we'll see if crude oil responds to the downside here next couple of months or it maintains its current strength. And for those of you who are not too privy to what's going on in the cryptocurrency market, there's a fork watch. You heard me right, F-O-R-K. Fork watch is basically a user-activated hard fork. They're using the initials UAHF on the Bitcoin network is looming, and it's supposed to start August 1st. So we're looking at Tuesday, and the Bitcoin Cash, which we're more familiar with, is slated to break away from the so-called user-activated hard fork. I've been tracking the cryptocurrencies. You have to. Bitcoin is here to stay. Japan legalized it as a form of currency. If you go to my website, vrtrader.com, we have a link there in the Bitcoin section. You can see 100 of these cryptocurrencies trading with Bitcoin at the top, Ethereum in second place, all based on capitalizations or value or market value. And I'm told there's hundreds even beyond that. So it's speculative. A lot of people warn you to stay away from it, but it is a point of the future in terms of currency and exchange. And, a lot of disgruntled people. And also, in areas like cannabis and marijuana, for example, if you can exchange in Bitcoin and not cash, you can avoid the banking issues, which unfortunately have plagued that industry. And we talk about that quite a bit in my cannabis vice letter. So there's a reason. Distrust for currency, distrust for the system, and maybe even more seeking more efficiency. And I think that's why we call it Bitcoin, but it's cryptocurrency with so many out there. I get approached regularly about new cryptocurrencies starting, whether I would buy them, trade them, and so forth. But we're waiting for those exchange-traded funds to get set up, and we'll see how all that plays out in the months ahead. Well, as we do each week, we close our show with what our old friend Ed Hart used to say on the Financial News Network in the 1980s and 1990s when he said, as we do, we will know in the fullness of time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for listening to Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week Elf, Mark Leibovit. If you missed any of today's show or to get in touch with Mark, please go to wallstreetrawradio.com. Any stocks or investment discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. We first recommend you seek out a licensed financial professional for advice. Go to wallstreetrawradio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products.
opinions you hear on Biz Talk Radio are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of this station, Biz Talk Radio, its management, or advertisers. The information on Biz Talk Radio does not constitute a recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or securities. Please consult a professional before investing. If you have any questions about Biz Talk Radio, contact us at 817-274-1609 or at biztalkradio.com. Biz Talk Radio,